Do Jehovah's Witnesses teach it's better for kids to be alive or be dead? Well, Jehovah's Witnesses are strong believers in the Bible. They essentially view it as a history book, that everything in the Bible literally took place exactly as described. So we might ask, well, what's the Bible teach about children living versus dying? Well, we see that when God wants to punish Pharaoh, he doesn't actually do anything to him, but instead kills every firstborn child in the country, kids who hadn't actually done anything. When God wants to punish King David, he doesn't actually do anything to him and instead kills his newborn son who hadn't actually done anything. When the Israelites conquer Canaan, God commands them to kill not only the soldiers, but also all the women and all the children, except the unmarried girls who they could keep for sex slaves. When God wants to give Abraham a loyalty test, the test God comes up with is whether Abraham's ready and willing to kill his son. When God wants to reverse original sin, the solution he comes up with is to kill his son. So yeah, when you read the Bible, the overarching message kind of ends up being children are actually quite expendable if it's in the service of God. Now, most Christians would interpret all these things as just metaphorical lessons for us today. It's not literally saying that it's cool to let children die. And yet, there are some religions, like Christian Science, for example, that teach it's better to let children die than to receive modern medical treatment. So where do Jehovah's Witnesses fall on this issue of whether it's better for kids to live or to die? Well, let's check out the following clips taken from various Jehovah's Witness conventions and broadcasts.
Isn't it true that when we maintain our integrity, even through serious illness, it can be a tremendous witness to others? That was the case with Jared Scepter.
In the days of distress, they arrived early on Jared at 11.
Jared was diagnosed with lymphoma cancer in the middle of 1991. We started trying to figure out how we could get him the treatment that he needed, of course, but in no way would we accept a blood transfusion, and neither would Jared.
What remarkable wisdom Jehovah has shown by giving us the resurrection hope. By means of it, he disarms Satan of one of his most effective weapons and, at the same time, arms us with unbreakable courage. Remember that death is temporary and that the life Jehovah offers each of us will last forever.
When Jared was in the hospital, Child Protection Services did investigate us. They were concerned there was negligence.
It was just adding to the pain.
The threat of death is a powerful weapon. Those under Satan's control use it to force people to betray their friends or to give up their convictions. But that threat is powerless against us. We know that if our enemies kill us, Jehovah will restore us to life.
I remember many times falling on my knees and praying and thinking, this is it. I'm tested beyond what I can bear.
And again, we'll be able to fast forward, see the horrible consequences of compromising if we're persecuted. On the other hand, we'll see the wonderful blessings if we keep our integrity, we do not compromise. In fact, even if we're threatened with death, we're executed. If we see the big picture, we'll realize that Satan has just handed us a validated passport right into the new world. See, that is the big picture.
Jared was worried about us, and he made it clear he was going to be fine. He just didn't know if we were going to be.
It's not that Paul wanted to die. Of course, he would have preferred to live on and keep serving Jehovah together with his Christian brothers and sisters. Yet he faced death with courage, and he rejoiced in the reward that he knew was reserved for him. Well, like Paul, we too can rejoice despite the threat of death.
And the last thing he said to us was, work hard so we can all be together again.
I want you children to look at the events that are being described and see if you can guess who was involved. And I'm sure your kids are going to guess this one. Verse 34, quenched the force of fire. Of course, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now they were facing death. They knew their God. They knew what he was capable of. They told the king that If it was the will of God, they would be rescued. But if not, they still wouldn't worship the image of gold. They knew that if Jehovah chose not to intervene miraculously, it was not a sign of his disapproval. Their integrity also resulted in a great witness. When the king saw that they were alive and well, he praised Jehovah. He said, "Praised be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. There is no other God who is able to rescue like this one."
He died in June of 1992.
It's numbing because it's almost like you're living a nightmare.
I've always found it really interesting that in the witness mind, when a child dies for refusing a blood transfusion like this, it's always termed as a tremendous witness being given.
What a witness that gave.
What a huge witness.
A good witness.
What a witness.
A fine witness.
A good witness.
A great witness.
A fine witness.
A good witness.
A great witness.
A good witness.
A fine witness.
A great witness.
A good witness.
A good witness.
A great witness.
A good witness.
A fine witness.
A good witness.
The good witness.
A great witness.
The fine witness.
The good witness.
The good witness.
Good witness.
A great witness.
A great witness.
A fine witness.
A great witness.
The greatest witness possible.
Through his endurance and strong faith, Jared gives a witness to the universe that even a child that trusts in Jehovah can prove his loyalty to death.
Witnesses believe that a child dying will, more than anything else, leave onlookers saying, "Wow, this group is amazing. Me and my children gotta join this religion." This disconnect from reality is fascinating because in real life, if you were to poll non-witnesses, this is probably the most repugnant doctrine in the entire religion to them. The one that more than anything else repulses them about Jehovah's Witnesses, that witness parents would willingly sit back and let their child die instead of receiving a blood transfusion. Even the most ardent supporter of freedom of religion, the guy who supports it no matter how wacky the religion is, even they are probably going to lean towards getting the authorities involved when witness parents are on track to let their sick child die instead of receiving blood. It's one thing when a grown adult is making medical decisions that'll hurt themselves. We may disagree, but in the end, it's their choice. But it's a lot different when an adult is making a decision that could kill a minor child, or they're encouraging their child to make a life-ending decision. A child who may later have very different feelings about the things they believed as a kid. Pew Research data indicates that fully 2/3 of people raised as Jehovah's Witnesses later leave the religion. How tragic for a child to die for a belief taught to them by their parents when, had they lived, they would more than likely have disavowed that belief later in their life. So that is what Jehovah's Witnesses teach. It's better for a child to die than to break arbitrary rules laid down by the religion's leaders. It's notable that this rule banning blood transfusions wasn't officially introduced until 1961. So for the first 80 years of the religion, members could freely receive blood if they wished. Will there be a time when this rule is dropped, just like the religion has dropped other arbitrary rules, which, for example, at one time banned members from receiving organ transplants, gamma globulins, hemodilution during surgery, and using medical marijuana? The hope is that, hopefully they do drop this rule soon. But in the meantime, this doctrine of how it's really not that big a deal if kids die is something that any parent with children who's considering converting to Jehovah's Witnesses needs to think really seriously about. There's a great graphic novel by a Japanese woman who converted to Jehovah's Witnesses and has since left the religion. In it, she describes her own experience when her young son got really sick and she had to come face to face with whether she was really ready to let her son die instead of get blood. The book is called The Day I Was Forced to Marry God. I definitely recommend it. It's really good. All right, well, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like to, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Take care now.
How encouraging to know that Gary and Beth are able to take vacation time. Can there be any doubt that Jehovah was answering their prayers?